already 4 minutes scheduled. It's fine. 4 minutes tolerations for the late for the delay. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? This is the signal as the difabel make for set the happiness. So this is actually the 10 sessions of the SSA Academy sharing. Sharing on what? Sharing on the case study. So we call it academy here because the sharing here is not like just presenting the best practices, but it is more as well sharing for the challenge as well. So this is like the academy. The objective of the sessions is actually try encourage each other. How can we strengthen the SSE, the SSE principle in our case study? So why? To make it really that the another word is real and possible. What the another word means that the another word with the SSE principle. So at least we try to promote the 5 dimensions of the SSE. So I hope that in all presentations later on will be as well concluded from your self-assessment how your case study meet these 5 dimensions. At the first, social responsible governance, and the second, the edifying value. The third is benefiting the communities. And the fourth is the conservations, environmentally conservations. And the fifth, surely the economic sustainability, because we don't want just to have a good project, but surely the sustainable outcome for the beneficiaries, for the people. So today we have we fortunate that we have 3 our guests, not a guest, it's our fellow, our friends, 2 from Nepal and 1 from Indonesia. Mr. Sunil, I think he will come soon to the link, and Mr. Sunil Chitakar.
Mr. Sunil is here.
Oh, Mr. Sunil is here. Hello. Thanks, God. It's not too late. And then Mr. Sunil from Mahagutchi Craft with Conscience. He will share about us about the World Fair Trade Organizations. And Mr. Bola Batarai from Associations of Collaborations Forest User. He will share about the community forest management in Nepal. And Mr. Udi Kurniawan, he is from Indonesia, from Dompet Duafa. Dompet Duafa means the wallet for the poor. Yeah, this is a philanthropy organizations. Very interesting. We have different type of organizations, community-based and fair trade and philanthropy. I think we will learn a lot of types organizations from the angle, from the point of view of the SSA. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will have the discussions until I think 2 hours. I will try to manage the time. So each presenters will have 15 minutes time to present, and then will be continue with the question and answer later on after the three resource persons all presenting their slides, and then the rules is to make the discussions more convenient. You can turn off your microphone, or otherwise Chandra as the host will turn off your microphone centralized. So, and then if you have problems with the connections, one tips you can as well turn off your video. So normally you can have more clear sounds while if you turn off your videos. Okay, because we have 2 presenters from Nepal and 1 from Indonesia. I want to mix that. The first we go to the Mr. Sunil first, and then the second is to Mr. Udi, and the last, because we want to go to the forest to see the wonderful forest, then we ending the presentation with Mr. Bola. I hope you're fine with this. Mr. Sunil, Hello,
Yep.
Mr. Sunil. Now is your
Hello.
time, 15
Yep.
minutes. I will
Thank you.
remind you 3 minutes before the time end. It's your time,
Okay.
Mr. Sunil.
Uh,
Please.
how can I share? Let me allow me to share my presentation.
Surely, surely.
Okay. Okay. Mm. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Namaste from Nepal. It's my pleasure to share about my experience working at Fair Trade Group, Fair Trade. I'm Sunil Chitakar. I'm working as a CEO of Mahagutchi Craft Concern. It's a fair trade company, social enterprise. Also, I'm on as a vice chair of Fair Trade Group Nepal. It's a national consortium of fair trade, and also serving on World Fair Trade Organization board, global board. So today I'm presenting my experience based on my own organization, and then try to relate that with this SSE framework. And we believe that fair trade transforms life. So I'm presenting on from that perspective. And all we know that SDG 2030 agenda carries sustainable development goal, recognize international trade as an engine for inclusive economic growth and poverty reduction. And what we believe as fair trade is definitely fair trade contributes in attaining SDG 2030. So I will be touching a bit on this aspect later on. I'd like to tell a small story about my producers. These are the producers from western part of Nepal. We provided some training on handmade soap. Then we link them to the market by continuous product development. We make them as a community, and then provided all the support to run as a community enterprises, and then promoted their brand in Japan and turned them into a successful small entrepreneur. This is the model that we work, and that captures the 5 dimension of social solidarity economy, how we work with producers and how that transform the life of the people at individual level, at the community level, and that contributes overall sustainable development. Particularly, we work in economic rights, economic benefits of the people. So, as you have mentioned, it has mentioned this 5 dimension of this social economy, this responsible governance, edifying ethical values, social economy, benefits community and ecological conservation, and economic sustainability. All these 5 elements are very much converged into 10 fair trade principles. And as we are accredited fair trade organizations, all these 5 dimensions are well integrated into that 10 principle. For example, principle number 1, creating opportunity for the poor. We work with the people, marginal people, ethnic minorities, women, and people with disabilities. So our economic work directly contribute with this people who need support. So that that addresses this social responsible governance. And also not just that, we provide avenue for not just individual, for the whole community to exercise their economic rights for improving their livelihood. And as we adhere transparency and accountability, we also practice the good governance. And we have the system of check and balances so that we can incorporate the voices of the people from the ground. That means they are well represented in different committees, and they exercise their rights as well. So then the fair wages and fair prices is another principle that directly contribute in this ethical value that SSE incorporates. We are practicing exploitation-free trading practices that is based on this the mutual benefits, respect, and the improving the trading system that encourages small and marginal producers to come forward. So that is also related with the community economic growth. We have seen that with our work, we have contributed in economic empowerment of the whole community. In 80s, we work in the eastern part of Nepal, extracting natural fiber. At the time, government did not invest it. There was no NGO at the time, but we took a risk and trained them to extract this natural fiber. Now that has become a mainstream products in Nepal. So all the local and state government has adopting that as an economic means for the community people. So that is also a successful example of how we intervene and how that becomes a mainstream. So benefiting the larger communities. And definitely the Fair Trade Principle 5 strongly advocates on eliminating all kinds of forced labor and discouraging the child labor. So we ensure that there is no child labor at all. And another principle is about the non-discrimination based on gender equity and other aspects, and freedom of association that also contributes in the SSE principles of governance, as well as the community engagement and empowerment. So the people can organize themselves and raise their concern through different mechanisms. So that also contributes. And more importantly, because we have positively discriminated for these socially marginalized, poor and ethnic minority people, they have opportunity to develop their themselves economically and socially. So we have seen this one. Good working conditions that ensures health and safety of the people. That is also their right. So we adhere that. And then capacity building and market access. As you know that small and marginal producers, one of the biggest challenge is market access to the finance. And through Mahagutchi, we have been providing all these kind of support services to improve their business operation, as well as get market access and access to the finance. So we took their business risks on behalf of these micro and small producers. So that they are relieved from this challenging task of taking risks. So that risk is bear by Mahagutchi itself. And we respect the environment by installing and operating in sustainable way. Upcycling is one of the trend that we have all been practicing, upcycling, recycling, as well as using technologies that improve the environment. For example, at my production place, we do not throw any waste, almost zero waste for the fabric. We do use azure-free chemicals, as well as we do not throw any fabric or any paper, because we recycle or upcycle for some other products. And even we have water treatment system. So after washing all water, we do not discharge, rather than we treat the water and then send to the field, so that the harmful chemical is already extracted. Even we have the solar system, all these things to adhere this principle of environmental environment. So that also is in line with the SSE the dimension 5 and the sustainability. And another aspect is fair trade is a sustainable business model. It is not a charity anymore, though it started with a charity after World War II. Now it becoming a mainstream business model that adheres all these 5 P's of sustainable development goal. That is people. First, we have to consider the people within our organization and the people that we work and the community. So the work that we work should be good for our people, as well as a provide a sustainable livelihood option for these people. Then prosperity, definitely that is related with your ability to earn, and their economic rights, as well as we scale up, as a fair trade is becoming a sustainable business model, we can scale up that model, because we can replicate this profit-making model, which encourages small producers and communities and into that economic model. That is why not just an individual person, but rather than a whole community can engage into that business practices, these sustainable enterprise practices. So that will help get a prosperity. And definitely partnership, we are working with different NGOs and communities, without which we cannot scale up, without which we cannot replicate this model of fair trade into other communities. You can see that now even the private sectors are adopting these fair trade principles and coming up themselves as a social enterprise. And if you look at that over the last 4 decades, this fair trade becoming the mainstream. And that's why you can see in universities, they have been adopting this as one of the business model. And another P is peace, as we provide sustainable livelihood and coherence among the people and the community, that definitely enhance the peace in the community. And definitely, as I explained earlier, the planet and the ecological balances that we strike by upcycling, recycling, or practicing to minimize the wastage. That is what we as a fair trader are doing.
You have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay.
And definitely, as I said, the fair trade is contributing in attaining SDG 2030. The principle of fair trade principle 1, principle 4, 6, and 8 are directly contributing these 2 goals, no poverty and zero hunger, because we work on economic right. Likewise, we are also advocating a living wage, because the fair trade should provide the sufficient earning for the people. They can earn with their skill and knowledge. So we have been advocating that. And principle of number 2 is related with peace and justice, as we are transparent in entire supply chain, that improve the trading relationship between the actors in that entire supply chain, all from the consumer to the producers. Principle number 3 related goal number 3 of good health. Likewise, principle 5 contributes in SDG 8 and 8.7, eradicating forced labor and child labor, that is related with decent work and economic growth. So principle number 6 again with gender equity. Principle 7 related with the health of the people. And then other principle like capacity development is related with goal number 5 and 9, innovation and infrastructure. As a fair trader, we provide that services as business development services for the small producers. So these are the things that we have been doing. And in Nepal, we are in Nepal we are trying to promote this fair trade. And now the private sectors and government are also interested in adopting this fair trade. So and we are advocating to make this fair trade as the business model for sustainability and development. So with this, I conclude my short presentation. And if there is any question, I'm more than happy to add some more elements on that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunil, for the concise presentations presenting the 8 principles of the fair trade, as well the contributions to the contributions. So many goals of the SDGs match by doing this business model, as well try to link how the fair trade value comply to the 5 dimensions of the SSE. So ladies and gentlemen, we just listen from the Dr. Sunil how this business model actually in the same time, by doing the business, providing the achieving the profit, benefiting for the people, but as well in the same time we reach the SDGs. So it convinced us that if such of model is scaled up into many different sectors, we sure that the SDGs goals might be, we don't need the next SDGs, but it will, the target of the SDGs in 2030, it will be make the closer the inequality. So thank you, Dr. Sunil. I'm sure that, so let's give applause for the Dr. Sunil. You can do it like this, or just do it moving your hand as the sign of the difabel mostly do. Oh, thank you, Dr. Sunil. The question and answer, we'll put it on the last. Yeah, just write down your questions on the chat to make it easiest for us, the moderators, to select to bring your questions to the presenters.